Mm, mm, mm. Oh, yeah. I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'm gonna drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready. Let's go. Ain't no half stepping. That's the name of the show. Yeah. Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah. Hunter's talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you want to talk about? Call and we're hearing you. Cover all topics. Touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street was the Earl on the beat. We suburb in the beat legacy online. 7 to 9:30. Please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. Brother so smart, plus brother got style. From Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, the Marcus J started to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. From Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, the Marcus J started to talk. You know, half stepping is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunter's talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you want to talk about? Call and we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. Yeah, the word on the street was the Earl on the beat. We suburb in the beat legacy online. 7 to 9:30. Please be on time. Ain't no half steppers with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah, if they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. My brother so smart, plus brother got style. From Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, this Marcus J started to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half step. Marcus J is live in color in the building, ready to have a dope show, all of the things. We got a lot to get to. We're gonna have a Stephisodes, we're gonna have a green talk, we're gonna have conversations about people that y'all heard of, and conversations about people y'all ain't never heard of before. I just made that up. Ain't no half step with Marcus J live from NewDen, Legacy Internet Radio. The flagship show is live right now, y'all.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores. The buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Watch it. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of him. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J is live. We are in the building. Appreciate y'all being down with us tonight. We are live on YouTube Live. We are live on Facebook Live. And we appreciate everyone who is rocking with us tonight. Thank you to the folks that are checking out the archive in the future. We appreciate those folks who are liking and sharing our feed. And for those who haven't shared it yet, we ask and we encourage you to do just that. So we got a lot to get to tonight. We're not going to take a lot of time in the salutations. Let me see. We got comments here already. So let me see what they are and who they are. Let's see. Uncle H is checking us out. Uncle H is saying he is here. We've got Legacy Internet Radio alumni. My brother, the coach, Sean Mears, is saying El Capitan. I'm rocking with y'all. We appreciate you, brother. And our brother James from Virginia Union University is checking in on multiple platforms on Facebook and on YouTube. He is checking in. And we see you, brother. We appreciate you. My oldest friend in the world, my brother K Dub, is checking us out. He is saying, beloved, my man. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J. So while we have introduced our friends and family, now it's time to introduce our usual suspects. He sits across the room from me. I say it to him all the time. It's always true. Brother, I like your hat. My brother John Green, affectionately known by me as John Green. What's up, bro?
Marcus, magnificent, keeping this the realest.
My man.
How you doing? I like your hat.
You like my hat?
I didn't like it last night. But,
Hey, look. Yeah. There's something to be said about.
but I like it though.
Yeah.
Something about the colors.
Is that what it is? You see,
Yeah.
y'all see my hat, yo. I ain't for the bullshit. I'm wearing a Giants hat. Fuck with me if you want to.
Like they say,
I'm already feisty.
like they say, you love to see the
Yeah.
old red, white, and blue, unless you're looking in the rear view.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that part. I like that. You can hear her sitting off to my right side. You can hear her on the mic. She is on my right side because she is my right hand. She is my sister. She is John's sister. She is your sister. She is Steph. Yay, 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 yay.
Steph B.
Appreciate it, brothers.
Yeah, that's never going to get old. It's
Hello
just-
Kitty and the Giant.
Yeah,
Two of my favorite things.
Yeah. That's one thing
Hate
about
the
this.
Cowboys, hate losing, still a Giant.
Hey, look, man. I say this
It is what
every
it
year, man. If the Knicks lose 82 games, if the Giants lose 17, because we play 17 now, don't forget. We picked up that extra game.
Yeah, extra game.
If the Yankees lose 162, I'm gonna again, I've used the analogy before. It's that crackhead cousin. You know what I'm saying? It's that best friend who just won't stay on the right side. It's maybe you live in a country that rocks with a different country that maybe you don't approve of what they doing. You know what I'm saying?
But Israel.
He's just gonna blow the whole. He's just going to just do that, right? Yeah.
Look,
you know what I
we
mean?
got to support him.
You know
We
what
got
I
to
mean?
support him.
You know,
No matter how much fucked up shit they do.
I
That's
had
our
that-
man's in
I
there.
had that set up
We
so
got support
nice. I really liked how I said that. He just
I thought it was an alley-oop.
was it alley-oop?
I thought so.
Well,
I
how
thought that
about?
was a good pass.
I think it was a good alley-oop. You know what? What else we going to talk about? Let's talk about AI. Can we talk about AI? Not Allen
Talk about
Iverson.
practice.
Yeah. There's another alley-oop. Not the game. Not the game.
Practice?
We talk about alley. Let's talk about AI. I'm freaked out by it. I'm bringing it up now, John, because we talked about that a few minutes ago before we turned the mic on, and here we are with AI right in front of us. We just had the actors just signed their deal last week that
SAG-AFTRA.
got the AI not as part of it as it would have been. I'm not quite.
Union proud. I'm SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah, yes, you are, my man. I forgot about that. You were on strike last week. For 150, 15 since July.
It was a lot of days.
Yeah, yeah. So AI is a big thing. Tell John, the listeners, what you told me, who we talked about, and how AI came up in this conversation for the greater conversation. The artist who is getting help with
Yeah.
yeah.
Me a minute. Thank you.
Yeah.
You saw the confusion.
alley-oop.
Thank you. Yeah, no. So I saw this. Well, a couple of things really touched me with AI. One I sent to you guys, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the other thing is the DOC who lost his voice. So they have an AI formula now that takes your voice, right? And they're going to use his pre-recorded voice, and that's going to allow him to rap. He's going to go into the mic and record, but when it comes back out, it will be his old voice.
All right. So organic response. That's why just a little bit organic response, because your face is given what.
No.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
No.
All right, now pause again. What did I say? What did I say?
Pretty much that.
Just like that.
I'm just
I had the exact same reaction.
First of all, it's shocking how behind the 8 ball we are on understanding AI. It's not shocking that the government is. This morning on the news, they're like, Congress and the Senate are going to sit down and they're so worried that, they're so behind. They can't believe they're behind the 8 ball. They're always behind. They were behind on social media. They're behind on AI. But I'm sorry. You remember years ago when everything would come down to what the Christians would say? And their big thing that they would always say is in the 2000s, they're going to put a chip in your hand if you want to travel. Maybe because I was around evangelicals a lot during this time. They had this theory that after Christ would come, you would have a chip in your hand. They would have to scan your hand if you wanted to travel. There were all these things. And I'm like, so we supposed to be good with this AI thing? Like that's this whole situation with AI. Remember when they did the Tupac hologram?
Yeah.
Am I the only one who...
No, you're not.
And remember how people reacted to
They
that?
loved it.
But there was some people that was like,
It's
this
weird.
shit is weird.
Yeah.
It's gonna go too far.
Yeah.
I feel like this is what they were talking about.
John, this
It's
is what
creepy.
John,
And listen, I understand wanting to be able to continue your craft, wanting to be able to rap. You can't do your dancey dance or whatever it is anymore. But this is a no, because eventually those of us who are not in the top 1% or whatever, the ones who lack any control of where these things go, imagine what they'll do with the average citizen's likeness, image, whatever.
So this boat left the docks, man.
So here's
I'm done.
look.
I'm
Here's
scared.
the deal.
John, the
Here's
boat left
deal.
the docks, bro.
The thing with the actors and the AI. So what they were preventing was them being able to use the likeness to promote or to interject within, because you could take somebody like a Sam Jackson who's done I don't know how many films, and you could put together just using his images and his voice, you could create a whole nother character without him.
It also was because I thought it was interesting listening to these actresses all talking about it on YouTube. It also, in regard to AI, was to prevent AI from becoming the predominant talent. So they wanted that written in as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Listen,
and that part I think is, for me, is more interesting. It's like, are you kidding me? And this is where it could go. Well, I mean, they started
there.
You already moved to reality television where you get no name, quote unquote, actors. You're paying them little or nothing, and it's replaced a lot of genres of TV as more popular, and now they're being more high paid. AI is gonna do that.
And Hastel Marcus J Live from NewDen Legacy Net Radio. Let us talk to our friends and family. First up, our brother Aaron Turner is saying, good evening, family. Legacy Internet Radio alumni. My brother Robert Ralston, Samoa B, brother. Congrats to Virginia Union. On Saturday, he was in Arizona watching the game. My brother Robert lives in Arizona right now. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for rocking with us. Our sister Michelle is saying, good evening, all. Hey, girl. Hey. Appreciate you rocking. K-Dub says, AI has been around long before this. Let's see. I can't see y'all. I got to get closer to the screen so I can see. AI has been around long before this. Surprise, AI is Google, is navigation. Look at your phone with the way you type. It's only going to explode even more. Video games, etc. So that's,
and they've already been using them in video games, but we were more comfortable with it because we already expect that to be an
we thought it was cool. We thought it was cool.
Made it look and yes, but I mean, what area of AI infiltration into your life would matter to you? What would
into my life?
That's how I feel.
So
any that I didn't co-sign on, want, or agree with.
If it's a video game, if it is fictional, that sort of thing, I know we jumped in on you, John. So go ahead and finish your point. I'll finish mine after you. But it's an easy no for me.
So here's the deal, right? You like Siri and the other one, right?
We already know, yes, we know that's AI.
But so now
people
we're moving.
Thought Alexa was too intrusive. You still have
people. Still is.
Yeah, I unplug her. I'm listening to music on her, and then when it's time for that to be done, I literally unplug her. because of how intrusive it feels.
I don't even
There have
have
been
it.
times I've not said a word to her, and she's like, "Yes, no, I don't need to talk to you. I didn't ask you anything."
I got to tell everybody, and I'm gonna talk about something else too. But I got to tell everybody, y'all like way too late. Way too late. Everything is already two way.
Yeah, I mean, we already
Your phone
know.
is two way. That's AI like a mug. You get marketed to by your phone. Like if you Google something,
Of course,
it's gonna start popping up in your
Yeah,
streams.
yeah, we know
about
that.
stuff you Google. So it's like
Even if you don't Google
Yeah.
it, if you talk about it,
that's right.
it's there.
It's there. So and everything moves towards that whole situation.
Doesn't mean you gotta like it.
No. Look, I kind of like it. Like, okay, so they have this thing called a humane AI pens, which is a step up from a phone.
PIN or PEN? Pins.
PIN, like
Pins.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
and you hang them on your clothes.
Okay.
I sent it to you guys, and it's like a phone. It's a phone. It's a laptop. It's a projector.
And a
It's a
pen?
radio in a little
Not okay
square
with it.
thing, right?
Not okay
And it
with it.
projects to your hand. So if you need to see something, you see it on
I'm
your hand.
not okay with that.
See,
You
that's
like
what
That's too much.
that's what the Christians
It's too
were
much.
worried
It's too
about.
much.
You could do
Like
this,
the
right?
people with the smart watches where they're controlling everything with
Yeah,
their
so you
watch.
could- you
That's
could do
weird
that,
to
And
me.
then you got the
I do love a smart
You
watch.
got
Yeah,
the
that's weird
feet.
to
You
me.
got the feet in your ear. It has a speaker. It's a very tiny thing. It's 1 square inch, but it has a speaker that gives you surround sound. It's a real time translator, right? So if a person comes up to you and starts speaking another language, it will immediately translate it to English, give you the English, and you speak normal time, and it will translate back to that person in the language that they spoke.
I see it
Real
here,
time.
and it does. It all sounds cool, and I love tech. I love good tech. I mean,
And
here's
look,
our-
at $700,
That's
it's
not.
sign me up.
$699.
Yeah, that's
But
not
here's,
bad for
here's my
$700.
question to you, John.
Hold before you ask a question.
Okay.
Our brother Bobby is checking us out.
Hey.
Bobby says, "What up, party people?"
Hey.
Hey, man, it's always good when you check in, Bobby. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Go ahead, Steph. I'm sorry.
So with something like that, here's the other part of it. Yes, AI exists, but then there's always the people behind it. Are you okay with AI that is created by Elon Musk? Like he's been very involved with a lot of AI production and things. Are you okay with something created by him that requires that level of engagement, putting it on your body, tracking of your biometrics, things like that?
Look, at a certain point, I used to care a lot. Like I was anti-Matrix, fight the power for a long time. But now I'm like, yo, whatever's gonna make life easy for me,
I believe him,
whatever's gonna make my day easier and more simple. Like I heard y'all were talking before this about Instacart and all. Whatever's gonna make my life simple is what I'm gonna do.
It's something to be.
And AI,
I mean, there's a lot to be said.
There's something to be
it.
said for that.
Years ago, I may not have said that I don't go in the grocery store. Now I'm like, the only grocery stores I go in are the high-end ones.
I look at it like this.
Don't use Instacart. So like, no, Wegmans is on Instacart.
Yeah.
But like if you wanted to go to Fresh Market, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Specialty, they're not on there.
Here's what I'll say. I'll take the last word on this because I want to move us on. K-Dub says, how much of the Jetsons we see are used today? That's a good one. I was watching the Jetsons yesterday.
Isn't that funny?
Yesterday.
The other day,
Yesterday.
I said to someone, I remember being a kid watching the Jetsons, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna have flying cars in 2000."
Oh yeah,
and I really believed it.
We remember the weekly readers that we used to have that would tell us.
Look,
that,
we don't have
hold
them
on.
for a
The
reason.
weekly readers that would tell us that we're supposed to be on the moon right now.
Yes.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, we listen. Now, the moon was a bust, and it was all about the Cold War. It was about strategic positioning. We had to be there first in order to make people afraid of us. But there was nothing there to get.
Yeah.
And as far as the flying cars, we don't have flying cars because people still can't drive. And putting them in the air is just too much.
We
didn't need flying cars because you know what they went to?
Teslas.
Exactly.
No, we went to tunnels and bridges.
They went to but also from a perspective of removing what they really want, which is control the population. They want to remove some of that, the control, self-control. Now you have self-driving cars.
I look at it.
That's part of it.
I look at it like this. I want to take the final word because I want to shift this. I look at it like this. For me, I have no intention of aiding in you being intrusive in my life. Like I realize that technology is smarter and faster than I am, but no, I'm not giving you no DNA. No, I'm not going to give you my social security number, even though I know that you can get them both if you wanted them. I know that. I'm not stupid. I know you can get that stuff, but I'm not going to give it to you. That's the reason why when you're sitting in the bullpen and they're asking you a million questions, you ask for a lawyer. Why? Because you have the right to remain silent. Like we realize that tech has way exceeded our ability to curb it by our objection. They don't give a fuck what we think. They really don't. They don't. We should have figured that out 20 years ago when they put the little line on the NFL when we could see where the first down is. We thought
The
that was
yellow
cool. You know what I mean? Like little stuff like that. And I'm
Yeah.
still trying to figure it out. But it's just I'm climbing a little bit, but technology. My best friend in the world, the pretty boy Damon, is checking us out. Greetings, family. What's up to my brothers?
Hello,
And good evening,
David.
Steph B. Peace
How
and
you
love.
doing?
He says, I got a question for y'all before I do my corny line. I usually do my corny line before we get to the main topics, but I saw something on Facebook today. And for the rare moment of me being for the shits and finding myself engaged in a back and forth, today was one of those days. Because normally my piece isn't set up for me to engage back and forth,
I know
where
that's
people
right.
can come for me off of something logical that I just said, that their illogical thought process causes them to want to attack me. Yeah, I don't do that shit no more. I used to, but I don't. But today I had a moment. This one's not like big or heavy, but I did want to bring it to y'all. So you ready? Steph, you up first on this one because of the way that this was addressed. Okay. Hey ladies, quick question. If your man came home at 3 a.m. and he asked you to cook him something to eat, would you do it? This post is not personally related to me asking for a friend. This is what the person posted. And I'd like to know what you think about that.
Does he have two hands that are working?
I would
Is
assume
something not
I'm
working
well
on
because
this
he
man?
typed it. I would assume he has at least one,
No, and I'm okay if he
maybe the
just.
thumb.
I'm not okay. I am not doing it, and I'm okay if I don't get picked for
Okay.
that answer. Hell no,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
And guess what? In the same token, if I go out and play and run, jump, and play, as Michelle says, until 2 or 3 in the morning, I stop and get Waffle House or some other negligible food that I wouldn't eat during primary hours
Okay.
and take care of myself. But I don't see what am I proving by having to get up, and why would it bother you if I say no?
Yeah, no, I got you. Now, John, the same person posted a very similar thing for the brothers. So I'll read that to you. Okay, fellas, I'm putting it in your lane now. If your woman came home at 3 a.m. in the morning and asked you to cook something to eat, would you get up and do it? I don't need none of y'all in this post caping or capping. What's the phrase that we?
Caping.
What the fuck does that mean?
So
What does
it's
it mean?
It's either caping or capping. So
I've heard it.
Capping is lying. Caping is.
You mean to tell me it's
I'll
two
do
different things?
anything for my woman. It's like
I think it's the caping
Yeah,
that
so I
is
think
the
caping.
suggestion here.
Mhm.
All right. So probably because of what I said on the
throwing on your cape like Superman.
probably okay, I got you now.
Mhm.
Probably because of how I responded on the first post. And others responded on the first post is how we got the man's post and we got that last line. And I got no smoke with the person who posted this. I like the person. I just had a little fun with this particular post. So I'll tell you what I said. You know me.
I didn't get a chance
You
to
can,
answer.
I'm
but that's
about.
okay.
I'm
Y'all on the men now, so let's see. I
I'm
want to
coming
hear
to you.
this.
I'm coming to you. I will tell you what I said, but I want to know what you say because I said the same thing in both places. What you got, John?
Okay.
Mine is the same for both things, and it's like, what do you feel like doing? It's on you. Like if my woman, I'm not gonna. I make it a habit. I don't allow the other actions, people's actions, to dictate what I'm gonna do. Right? She came home 3 a.m, whatever. That's on her. But if I'm the type of person who would make something to eat for her, I'm gonna make something to eat for her. I'm not gonna go outside my character. I'm not gonna change who I am. I'm not gonna take on a negative vibe to match her negative if it was a negative thing. You
I
know
do
what I'm
want to
saying?
say one thing. My reaction is not to the time that they came in. My reaction is just this is unnecessary. I don't care. I don't care that you walked in at 5 o'clock. I don't care if you want. It's unnecessary. I'm already in bed. This, that, and the other. Go ahead.
I think
it's just unnecessary. I'm not react. So
Yeah.
that is truly
My
who
thing,
I
if
am.
it's in your
I'm not reacting because I'm mad about anything. I'm just like, Did you wake me up?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
be yourself.
Yeah.
So
Right.
not be
Be
yourself.
yourself. So
please
if
don't
you
wake me up
if
at
you're
3
not
to cook
if you're
you
not the
anything.
type to do it,
Yeah,
then don't do it.
I'm not.
But
don't
if you're the
make me
type
feel
to
like that's
do
what
it,
you need.
you should do it, and it shouldn't be based on what they did.
No, I can dig it. Ain't no
I
half
agree with
stepping
that.
with Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. Shout out to my brother Tommy. Brother Tommy is checking us out. He says simply no. My
What's
brother,
the point?
my brother B, like the name on his hat, B Brent from Taking No Shorts podcast. And yeah, I'm not gonna read that comment. But and you know why I'm not gonna read that comment.
What?
Yeah, I'm
Say
not gonna.
now I gotta go read it?
Y'all can read his comment. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read his comment.
Just read it.
It was a setup. I did all of that just so I can get y'all wanting to hear his comments. See,
You
see
know
what I just
what?
did
Go
there?
away.
See what I just did there? He said she could get this meat.
That's what she get for asking.
That's what. Yeah, I can dig it. Hey, look, y'all do.
Look,
Hey, look.
I got
Hey,
something
look.
for you.
Some folks
I
do.
got something for
Some
you.
folks
I would more
do.
likely ask
Hey, look.
that question than the other
Some
one.
folks knew all along I was gonna read that
Oh,
quote.
I could definitely,
I
I
was
could
gonna
definitely hear a
read.
woman going,
Hey, look.
well, I got something for you to eat.
Hey, hey, B.
Ninja.
Men are forever 12. and I love
AB,
it.
AB, you already know I was gonna read that shit. Hell yeah.
I wish that I could be 12 years old all the time.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something.
I
I'm gonna be
do. Just
completely
men will just go
100%
right to the
transparent.
easy joke.
100% transparent. Every single chance I get to be crass and little boyish,
I never even
in
thought
in
about
in
that.
in a very safe space, I'm gonna lead towards immaturity every time. And clearly so is B. Damon says I will have no problem getting up and making a nice bowl of frosted flakes, 2 spoons.
2 spoons.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, all right. So
I can't use 2 spoons. So if it's me,
Are you going to
get
heat
your
up the
own
milk?
bowl.
Are you going to heat up the milk? Because Frosted Flakes with hot milk is the bomb.
here's the thing,
You know
right?
what?
So I commented in both of them, right? In the one where he was asking the ladies, I said, I know this is supposed to be clickbait and all, but the question I'm asking for me is, can he just fix himself something to eat, regardless if it's 3 a.m.? You hungry? Fix yourself something to eat. On what planet is it ever okay to wake somebody up to feed you? Like wake them up. You know, we just like making up shit to fight about. That's what I said. It had its variety of comments that went back and forth after that. So in the comment to the fellas with the I don't need no caping or capping or whatever that is, I said that I think it's crazy for any person out till 3 o'clock in the morning to wake somebody up and expect them to feed them. Reminding, I commented on a lady's post. My response is the same, and it's just crazy to me. And you legit got people that's willing to wake up, that's willing to wake up somebody in the middle of a slumber, in the middle of the night, to ask them to feed a grown person, even if that person came from work. Even if that person came from work, there's usually something to warm them up. Like, because the conversation went back and forth. Well, maybe they're coming from work, or they went to club. They on their own. Like, to me, that doesn't matter. Like what you said, that part doesn't matter. If you're coming from work, there's probably something to warm up. But I'm a dude. I'm not asking my lady to do that. And if she came in late, I don't think that she would ask me. It's like, what world do we live in, John? Were we asking somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning to feed us?
To me, this is
how entitled are we?
To me, this is it, right? Right.
I'm a man of the house. She need to feed me.
If your significant other comes in and you sleeping, and they wake you up for sex, you gonna have the sex?
You more likely to have the sex though.
Then get up and cook a
meal. You are more like you ain't gotta move.
But you get woke up. You get woke up.
You ain't gotta move.
You get woke up. You get woke up. You get woke up. Right, but you getting woke up.
Come on, bro. You really know it's different.
That's all I'm saying.
Come on,
that's
man.
all I'm saying.
That's
all
you
I'm
might
saying.
have to walk down the stairs, go down to the kitchen, turn on the stove, open up the microwave, open the fridge, do all of that, as opposed to doing what a lot of them do anyway and just lay there.
Now, let me say this.
Look,
maybe it does matter, but like, so I can remember my grandmother, like when people were traveling in to come for Christmas or whatever, 2-3 o'clock in the morning, there was hot or warm lasagna sitting on she would have trays of lasagna out so everybody could serve themselves or something like that. And she might even get up and greet everybody who's coming into her home or this thing. But we're talking about a day-to-day relationship. it is just abnormal to me to think that because I'm hungry for some scrambled eggs and Black Forest bacon, I need you to get up and make it.
That's
That's weird to me. Shout out to the Black Forest bacon. It's
You-
really good, y'all. I know
you
y'all
know
ain't used to swine,
somebody-
but I do.
Listen, you know somebody that knows me like that? Ask them and see what they tell you.
I'm not saying that you
Ask
want,
them and see what they
let me
tell
tell
you.
you something. Here we go. I was married to someone I know would do this. He was not married to someone who would do that. It just to me is like, it's irrelevant. It's like, you don't even need to wake me up.
Nah, I mean, yeah. I mean, here's the thing, right? When you talking about waking them up for food, waking them up for sex, it's like
Totally different
you
thing.
can have the same person and you'll get a different response. I'm down to spread these legs, but I'm not getting out this bed. Like it depends on the person. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it just depends on the person. But I think that it is irrational, literally irrational for anybody to come into a home where there are people sleeping and expect any of the sleeping people to get out of a slumber to feed the wide awake grown ass person who just came in the house who happens to be hungry. Fuck out of here. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J.
You want
Live
to
from
drop
NewDen
the mic on
Legacy. I tried.
that? Okay, drop
I tried. Let me get these comments in, and then we're gonna shift. Jay Grizzy, Taking No Shorts podcast with Jay Grizzy, man.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, he's here.
Hi, Grizz.
Hey, Grizz. He says, "Peace to you, Marcus J, cousin John." He ain't say
What
nothing
up,
about you,
cuz?
Steph. He ain't even say your name. He
Oh.
ain't even say your name.
Oh.
He said, "Peace to you, Marcus J, and cousin John." Oh no, he did say, "I just want to know if Steph B is ready to come back and take those Shorts podcast with Jay Grizzy." Got him.
Yes, and I will show. Look, I'm ready this time.
I just wanted
I
to.
know what I'm dealing with.
I tried to
now,
start
so
some
call
shit.
Me, boo, call me.
You see me trying to start some
I
shit.
see you. Yes, but look, you're not gonna be able to run all over me because we're gonna have some real conversation.
Oh shit.
So what's good?
Damon says, you probably be better off leaving a plate on the stove or microwave for those instances, especially if you know how your partner moves. So he took the high road. I could dig it. I was trying to clown. John, I'm trying to clown.
I like
man.
that, Damon.
I'm trying to clown, man. With this one,
I get it.
You don't think it's clown worthy?
Yes. It is. No, it is 100% clown worthy. But I just like I can see a scenario like
take the final word and then shift us into green talk.
I could just see a scenario. Somebody's out, whatever. They've been traveling all day, whatever, and they want something that you prepare. Like, let me tell you something. Sometimes it's different when somebody prepares a meal for you.
It's always different.
As somebody who cooks for people often, and I rarely get cooked for, I know the difference. When somebody puts some love and something into something and put it in front of you, and sometimes people be wanting it. Like sometimes it's just like it could have been work, it could have been the club, it could have been anything, but on their mind was, yo, I want one of your such and such. I want some of your such and such.
That's
please.
Fair. That's fair.
And it's like, yo, for you,
fair.
you, hell yeah,
my man.
Hell yeah,
man. I always like it.
And willing to do it. I am available.
I always love it when we get to see a softer side John. I do. I like that. I like softer side John. You know, because that way I'm not the only, softer side.
No, that's 100% me though, all the time.
I know it is. And I also know
that. I know from personal conversation.
Absolutely. And I also know that as kind of a soul as you are, it's more likely for you to be that way. I just like fucking with you. My man, I love him. I love him.
We just had a laugh like the casino people were having.
Yeah.
Yeah. The old people.
Yeah, man. You already know. I already know. John, I appreciate you, man. You're a good sport. And so are you, Steph. Ain't no how Steph Marcus J live from NewDen. Legacy in the radio. Any more comments out there? Let's see. Uncle A said no captions needed. and Brent says Steph might not be ready for me. Oh Lord. I don't know what the hell you mean, Brent. I'll let Steph respond herself.
Look, You know, I want to tell you, I'm from a place where we're prepared for everything.
There you go.
So just back off.
There you go. All right, John. I'm ready to say my corny phrase so we can go to Green Talk. Can I say my corny phrase?
Go ahead, bro.
Is it time?
Please do.
Let us move on. Let us move on to Green Talk. And as the salutations continue to come in, we got one more from another original 7. So we got Jay Grizzy original 7, Marcus J original 7, and another original 7 checking in. Our sister, the dating pool diva, Arthur Charisma, is checking us out, and she's saying, "Hey fam,
Hey sis,
hello diva, how are you?"
the top-notch dating connoisseur. You know, I love women who speak on that topic. You know, I've told you guys before, I'm certified in several masteries in coaching relationships. I'm not one of them. I stay out of that space. I love people who make that their thing because it means they want to see love.
And
they want to see love grow.
Not only is she a relationship expert, but she's also an author, has penned innumerable books. I think she's in the double figures.
Love it.
She does all kinds of products. I buy my butters from her. I just met with her like 2 weeks ago to pick up some sprays for the cars and stuff. So all of the things, if you need all of the things,
website.
all of the things. And so also one more salutation, and John has the con. Our sister Tamisha is checking us out. She says, "Hey, you guys."
Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey. Appreciate you. Ain't no I still Marcus J Live from NewDen Legacy in the radio. All right. So John has the con. It's time for us to step into Green Talk. And we got a lot to get to here. We're going to get into ocean warming and the effects on the fault lines. That's a big one, John. That's a big one. And I know you're going to tell us why. You got the con, my brother.
So a lot of people don't equate the two because, you know, we East Coast folks, right? But our fault line is way bigger than San Andreas. It goes from Canada to Florida and it cuts right down through Virginia. So most of what the East Coast is would be in the water. And the problem is it is the Atlantic that's warming more significantly than the Pacific. And it's causing shifts in the plates, not natural, right? There are natural shifts in the plates that come along over years. But now because of the temperature rising, the surface temperature, and it goes down into the, you know, as it circulates, it goes down in the settlements, the plates are shifting. Like they just had a thing last week, and the way it looks, it's not looking good. I mean, I don't think it's going to be any day now. It could be, but I don't think it's going to be. But people have there's no way to prepare. You can't do it's not like a movie. Nobody's going to, you know, get on the thing and go put on a knapsack and run and save the world type. No. Shift, major earthquake on the East Coast, and the East Coast sinks, and the Mississippi River divides the country. Right? Two things happen. The East Coast sinks, and then what's left of the East Coast from the Mississippi, it spreads, it divides. The Great Lakes come together and form almost like an ocean that feeds the Mississippi, that causes it to spread open. It's crazy. And it's happening now. And the thing is, we can't do anything about it because the time we needed to do something about it was about 30 years ago. 30 years ago was the cutoff where we could stop, where we could do something that would affect the influence that we have on the planet and its natural change. You know, the planet gets warmer, cooler naturally. It happens every few thousand years. It just happens. But we are influencing it in a way that's making it much, much more rapid. So we got to think about this stuff. When you know, listen, I have grandchildren. So I think about my grandchildren. I think about my grandchildren's grandchildren. And when I think about my grandchildren's grandchildren, I sometimes think about how the world is going to look to them. You know, what are they going to live in? They're talking about Africa getting split in half. You know, there's a sinkhole and all this other kind of stuff going on that's really flooded. Dubai been underwater for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Dubai's been underwater. People not paying attention. People are not paying attention. These things are going on. You get distracted by these, by these conflicts and wars and all this other stuff, but it's real stuff happening in the world. And the people that make the decisions that put us in these situations, they good. They got, serious, fall safes and fail safes to deal with it. We don't. I mean, I got a go bag in the car, but you know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna help. I mean, Richmond is safe. Look, Richmond is safe. We'll be beachfront like a mug, but it will be safe. But still, the infrastructure will go away. The infrastructure will go away, and we just like, well, this part of the town anyway. Shago Bottom is underwater.
Yeah,
But
I'm over by Shaka.
yeah, but the fault is to our east. So when it comes down, we're on this side of it. So the part where the ocean comes in, yeah, Shago Bottom, you might be like, South Beaches. You might be South Beaches, but up here where I'm at, it's pretty good. Marcus is kind of inland a lot too.
Yeah, he.
But yeah, listen, it's some real stuff, man. It's real stuff. And we can't do anything about it. I would suggest though, looking into go bags. You know what I'm saying? Because if the infrastructure falls down, like, are you prepared to go 3 days without electricity, without food? You keep gas in the car. You have a charger. You have one of those chargers you plug in the wall. That's a battery that could charge your car and your stuff, and it goes down. You got a ferro rod. You could start a fire if you need a fire. Do you know how? I mean, you need to start looking into some of these things. They have you can keep stuff in a knapsack. Like a small saw, a hatchet, a shovel, some water. A lot of water, much water as you can carry without hurting yourself. Some kind of tarp, for shelter and things like that. It's real. It's real the way things are going on, and people, we got to get prepared. We got to be ready, because if you be ready, you ain't got to get ready, because it won't be no time to get ready. Won't be no time. I remember when I was a kid, when the lights went out in New York City. That was weird. That was weird, and people was not prepared. But luckily, I'm from the hood, and when you from the hood, you know what you got in your apartment, right? Candles. Mama kept candles. She had the white one, the green one, and the rainbow joint with the piece of corn, with the piece of corn, man, that hung over the door. That every hood had that. If you don't know what that is, I'm sorry for you. But we had the corn man over the door and the candles, and Mom would burn. We had some candles. And we was good for them 16 hours or so with no light, no electricity. We lost a little bit of food at the refrigerator. We cooked as much as we could, but because gas stove. Y'all don't even know about gas stove now. Everybody got electric. But hey, listen, that's what it is. I don't know how the listeners feel about it, but it's real. Y'all can look it up and see what's going on, and check out East Coast fault lines. Because people don't know we on a serious fault line, and see where you at, where your home is, and how it relates to that. Because if we have a serious shift, it's over. It's a wrap.
Ain't no hostile Marcus here live from NewDen, Legacy Net Radio. I want to talk to you a little bit about this, John. There are going to be those who will say, what I need a go bag for? Ain't nothing ever went down. Now, I agree with the go bag because I got one. You know what I'm saying? And I've also lived in a home, in a comfortable home without power for a week when we had Isabel come through here 20 years ago. And it's a comfortable home, but it didn't have no power in it. And I struggled in a comfortable home. For those folks who perhaps may not have as comfortable accommodations and not having a go bag and not understanding the realness of shit could really go left. Like, we live in a country and in a world where we're very, very secure. We've been made to feel that way. We got our problems. We got racism, we got classism, we got sexism, we got all that shit. One thing that we don't generally worry about is anybody coming here fucking with us. We don't really worry about that. Although we know it's possible. We saw 9/11, and ain't none of us stupid. with two O's, as easy as them crazy white boys can be rolling up in churches and schools and in malls shooting up, it'd be just as easy as an enemy coming here and doing the same or worse. So let's not play that game. I say crazy white boys because we just don't see brothers doing that shit. We got other shit we do. We got other ways we break the law and embarrass our people. That's just not one of the things we do. Just what it is. So having said that, for those folks who I don't really have to worry about it. We talked about fault lines and global warming, but when you mentioned go bags, I chose to open it up to a larger discussion. Respectfully, I hope you don't mind. So I want you to talk to the person who is like, what I need a go bag for? Global warming. They're not old enough to remember how bad it snowed just in this city 25 years ago, and back home in Jersey and New York, what was it, 40 years ago? Was it 82 or 83 where we had that crazy ass snowstorm? So young folks,
And you don't
perhaps
even have to go back that far. There was a snowstorm about 5 years ago where all the runoff and melt basically flooded the subway. So infrastructure wise, we, to John's point, we're in much more precarious position
then we think
on
we
the
are.
East Coast than we think we are. Like I've had moments years ago where I would say, "Oh my gosh, I would never move to California. They get mudslides, they get this, they get that, they get that." Yet where Manhattan sits on a major fault. It wouldn't take much to flood Manhattan out, but we've also seen 2 years ago, we saw after the storm, a storm, not even a hurricane, a storm, the rain front from a storm. We saw Queens, we saw Bronx, and we saw Brooklyn and Jersey City flood out. So excellent topic, John. Yeah.
What do you think? What would you say to those people who think that you are, I don't want to say crying wolf, but perhaps maybe shouting a little louder than it needs to be? And I'm not one of them, because I 100% co-sign everything that you just said. I agree with you, but I want you to speak to them.
So if you're a person who's subject to go hang out one night and you spend $100, right? You can take $100 and get yourself a good go bag and be good for 72 hours, right? And I say 72 hours because that's the general consensus before things would get, some kind of normalcy, where you'd be able to have communications to the powers that be and authorities, where they would then instruct you on what to do, right? So even something like a nuclear explosion, God forbid we had a nuclear explosion. Like, people don't know what to do. Like, you need to know to go in your house and close your window and tape up your vents and go to the ground floor. And when you go in the house, take off your clothes, put them in a plastic bag, throw them outside, take a shower, long shower, put on new clothes. And about 48 to 72 hours, the majority of the radiation, if you wasn't in the impact area, the majority of the radiation would have passed, right? And again, communication should be back up back then. Power should be back up. There should be some communications. Do you have a transistor radio? A transistor radio, because if electricity goes down and you need to hear some kind of information, transistor radio, walkie-talkie, something, you need to be able to communicate with the world. But a go bag, $100 or less, a go bag, like I said, a small saw, knife, a tarp, ferro rod, some matches, or a lighter. One of them, I call it the stick that make fire. The little, the long ones. Get one of those. Have some duct tape, because duct tape's a good fire starter, and you could build just about anything with some duct tape. Have you some water, a couple liters of water. You might want to get a water filter. They have the mug. They have the cups, like the cups that the runners and bikers use, but they have filters on them, so you can grab water and it naturally filters the water for you, and it's good for 50 usage before you have to change the filter. So you need that. They got these little collapsible metal cans that can act as like a pot. You could boil water in it. I would suggest boiling the water. When you boil the water, if it's water you don't know, you boil it. You let it boil for 2 minutes. Then you let it cool. Then you put it in the bottle, run it through the filter, and you should be good. It may not taste good, but you won't have any bacteria, right? So I mean, these are simple things. They don't cost a lot of money. Look at some of these things and be ready. Because I tell you what, I'm speaking to my people, but them other boys is kind of ready. They're a little bit more ready than us. They be practicing. They be out in the woods digging holes and covering them up and all kind of stuff with fire. And they know how to hunt and all kind of stuff. We gave up hunting a long time ago. So get you some canned goods, get you some dry goods, like a box of rice, instant rice or something, and you know what I'm saying, some water, couple liters of water, and just be ready. Let's hope it never happens. But again, if you are ready, you don't have to get ready.
My brother. And you know how Steph Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. Let's see. Our brother Brent says, I have a good car packed full of stuff and bags to ditch the car too.
Hey, whatever
Yeah,
you
that
got. Listen,
John. Oh man,
I like a prepared man.
No, I can dig it.
And that's another thing. Keep your tank on full, people. Like I tell people, I treat a quarter tank as empty. I
Yeah.
get to a quarter, I'm on E, and I fill it up.
My man.
That's what I do.
My man. You know, especially now, as the certain portions of our country like to blame the president, whoever happens to be the president. Lord, don't think I'm like a Joe Biden guy. I'm not. But whoever the president is, he or she is always going to be tasked with the gas prices, good or bad. Even when the prices are good, they're going to talk to you like the gas prices are bad. We ain't seen sub $3 in a long time. And the current president,
non-cipher. I bought gas for the last 2 weeks right here in Richmond, and I paid 270, 268, and 289 was the most I spent.
I would love, I don't know nothing about
Sheets on Forest Hill.
270.
Also 7-Eleven on Forest Hill.
Yeah, I don't know.
And sheets and 7-Eleven. We having it. All you gotta do is go online and look.
As the kids say, I hope that ain't cap, John.
No cap.
No. Yeah.
Go ahead and Google.
I've been going to BJ's out in off of way out on Hull Street, and that's where I've been getting it. And they've been consistently low. I haven't seen lower than like the mid 280s. So if you can tell me where sub 280 is,
I told you sheets. Hold on, I got a photo.
Yeah.
Hold on. I don't play.
Look, I mean, if you got opportunities to save the money,
don't play.
gas,
You hear John?
Give this
John
brother
doesn't play.
Always on the road.
He don't play.
You know
what I'm saying? He about to show me 256. Look at this stuff. Look at this. Look at this. 250, 256, y'all. Look at that. I'm going to buy gas where John buys gas. You see what I'm saying?
I'm not playing with y'all.
He ain't playing with us.
Playing with y'all.
He ain't playing with us.
Listen.
Not on that money.
Yeah.
Listen, them plane tickets cost money.
My brother. And you got to get it how you get it, right? As they say, get it how you live. Ain't no how Steph Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. John, you brought it, man. I always love Green Talk. Green Talk is one of my favorite parts because it makes me have to think about some stuff I hadn't thought about before. So I appreciate you leading us in that manner, bro. You're a good brother, and I appreciate you. And you know how Steph Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. Steph Fissos, surviving, thriving, and self-preservation. Woo. John, you hear that? Self-preservation. Let's get it. What you got?
So, I was reading through something someone said on Twitter, and what they said on Twitter was really which was interesting to me, was really about how religion has convinced, and I think I kind of mentioned that when I talked about resting and how napping is reparations for Black folk. Well, this person was talking about how we have religion has allowed us to fall into a space of where we look at surviving as success. We are convinced that, well, God will see me through. And that's our success. And when I started looking at, one of my favorite things, I call it Steph semantics. I like to look at what things are officially defined as, because I find that when people apply things to themselves, they often aren't thinking about the truth of the actual definition of something. So first and foremost, we have the actual definition of survive, it means to continue to live or exist, especially in spite of danger or hardship. That's an important part, especially in spite of danger or hardship. And then we have thrive, which means to flourish, to prosper, to grow or develop well or vigorously. And then the definition of self preservation is the protection of oneself from harm or death, especially regarded as a basic instinct in human beings and animals. So today's episode really is about looking at our life, our expectations, and determining if we want to be falling into the mode of surviving. So let's talk about, these days, politics is life, right? It connects. You are watching a man, Donald Trump, engage an audience of individuals, a human of some sort, engage in an audience of individuals by telling them that one of their issues is that they are merely surviving because Black and brown people are here, stealing from them, taking from their resources, and so on. And these people who are privileged, for the most part, are angered by the idea of surviving. Why are they angered by the idea of surviving? Because they see that as a threat to how they live. They cannot believe that they would continue to live or exist in spite of a danger or hardship. And when they look at that danger or hardship, they feel that it's being created by people who look like me, John, Marcus, you, majority of our listenership. They are reacting so deeply to the idea of just surviving, the idea that I'm losing 2% in my 401k, or that I haven't gotten a raise in the mines in West Virginia for years. They're looking at that and they're immediately saying, it's because I'm being forced to survive because they're giving this money to people who don't look like me. Now, that's false, clearly. But I think it's important for us, those of us who are from the marginalized population, which means anything that was built in this country wasn't intentionally built for us, even the things that we built. Even the things we built were not built for us. Our folks built the White House and didn't get to live in it until well into the 2000s. Even the things we built were not built for us. And so the people who see us get a little bit immediately react negatively to the idea that they could be losing something and you are the danger. We, on the other hand, and when I say we, I talk about us as a collective, Black people as a collective, will answer when someone says, how are you doing? We will answer. Some of us will answer and say, I'm surviving. You don't even realize what you're putting into the atmosphere when you say that. You're saying that you're committed to the idea that your life is continuing in spite of danger or hardship. It's all right, I'm surviving. At least I'm here, which is what religion taught us very early on, that at least you're here. Could be worse, above the ground and not below. I've heard people say that. But the fact of the matter is, it's important to identify whether you are surviving or thriving, because it's going to impact your next generation. So last week I talked about generational wealth. And the reason that I'm talking about this today is because if you're living in survival mode, you are likely going to pass that mindset on to the people who need generational wealth from you. And committing to surviving, I want you to understand, committing to surviving means that you are willing to live here and accept that hardship is yours. At least I'm breathing. At least I'm breathing. There are people who are not getting half the pain. They're not experiencing half the pain you're experiencing. As a matter of fact, they didn't even really think they were experiencing any pain until Trump became president. Then all of a sudden, it was a trained belief. It was an ingrained thought The reason your life is not 100% of what it should be is you're surviving because of those people. They're forcing you to live through hardship. We as Black people need to become just as indignant about surviving as the people that voted for him. We have been, many of us have in our communities, and we look at our communities. And when I say many of us, I mean, even if you are Black in living in a community that's suburban, but you know what's happening in other communities, you have gotten accustomed to the idea of surviving. The problem with surviving and then passing that on as a mindset is this: it becomes a prevailing belief. It becomes a belief that this is the best that we're being offered, therefore it is the best that I can do. And if I'm living through it, hey, at least I'm here. And that becomes problematic for our children. Lately, that's been a huge focus for me. I don't have grandchildren. My children are adults. They're 25 and 27. But I am concerned about the fact that the generational wealth that we're going to pass on is likely not going to be financial. It's not likely to be asset oriented. And so, what other ways can we help these children thrive? Which, as I mentioned, is to develop well or vigorously, to flourish, to prosper. What is it when you don't have money to pass on? It's passing on the understanding that surviving is not enough. It's not enough. And I thought I should speak on this because I looked at the statistics of religion, and Black women are the most, quote, religious people in the United States. We also happen to be from a community that has the highest female-led households, which means that we are the majority of the breadwinners. Our community, Black women, have a community where we are the majority breadwinners. Unlike Hispanics, Latinas, white women, we are from what is called a provider community of women. So if you believe, so now you're part of the provider community, you're raising the children predominantly, you spend the most amount of time with the children, and you're just surviving, and that's what you're passing on. Like, really think about that. That our mindset is, if I survived today, survived, meaning I made it through a hardship, and I'm continuing to live through the dangers of this life, that's enough. And then you demonstrate that to your children, and your children demonstrate to that children. How do we ever get to true generational wealth? If our wealth is impeded or obstructed by the belief that survival is enough. So I have a few tips for getting toward a point of thriving. One, I would say, and fellas, you're welcome to jump in on any of these tips. One, first and foremost, acknowledge the area in which you think you're surviving. Acknowledge it. You know, if your money is only enough, if you only have enough income to survive, which means to exist outside of a danger or survive a hardship or live beyond a hardship. So if you're only making enough money to pay the lights so it will stay on till the next time, we got to start thinking about what that means. We got to start thinking about where we're getting our money, what our financial resources are, how we can change that. It's important. It's important. And often we're in a space of where we're saying, I'm surviving. And as a people as Black folk, we wear that as a badge. And that badge gets in the way. It's like having pride about, yeah, so what? I survived in the streets. At least I lived. I know 20 other people that died. That's not the metric, sir. It's not the metric, man. It's not enough to survive in the face of hardship. It's not enough for your children. So the first thing is to say, where am I just surviving? Where am I just making it? The second thing is, what am I contributing to it? Lately, I have been looking at how we don't like to hold one another accountable. So you want to, You want to ask for help, but you don't want to explain why you need it. It's not acceptable. When you need help from someone, you go to them and you explain why you're in. You got to be willing to explain why you're in the position you're in, even if that position requires total accountability about the behaviors that you've had. That is how you get to a point of being able to say, okay, we're going to move beyond surviving because we're going to be accountable for what we're doing or not doing so that we can move forward. Black people have always understood self-preservation. They have always understood protecting themselves. We've always understood that. You know, a lot of us were raised, that's the lessons. You can always hear, like someone will say, you know, the system, how to work the system. That's something that we're passing on. Preservation. But if you're passing on self-preservation, which, by the way, every part of society has it, black, white, yellow, brown, human people, humans have to survive. Therefore, they go into the behaviors of self-preservation. But what we have to understand is that in our community, we're living consistently under the guise of self-preservation. We're surviving. We're not thriving. And we're passing that on. And if you pass on a mindset of self-preservation and surviving, and then also say, but yeah, I'm an entrepreneur and I opened an LLC and I did all of that. Those two things can't work together. They're counter one another. So you can't have all these financial goals or things that you say you're doing while you're also in survival mode. You have to be able to train the next generation, your children, the people in your family sometimes who don't know that we're entitled to thrive. We talked about that before we were talking about what you're entitled to. And we agreed, Marcus and I, that you're entitled to love. You're entitled to doing well. You're entitled to be safe. Surviving is none of those things. It's none of those things. You know, I said, one, acknowledge what area you're surviving in. Two, acknowledge what you're doing that's putting you in a position of survival mode. Three, act right away. The minute you acknowledge what area you're just surviving in, and then two, what area you are accountable for, which 90% of it is going to be you, then three, you got to be ready to get out of it. Got to be. So it's, who do I ask? Who do I go to? Put your pride aside. This impacts us from our health physically to our health financially. And as a community, we have been living in a mode of self-preservation and surviving for so long that generationally, that is what we really are gifting to children, is the idea that I'm making it. And if you don't want your children to make it, first and foremost, you have to understand you may not be the one to teach them the lesson. You may need to bring somebody else into the picture. They're probably, you know, in every Black family, there is that person that's considered successful. That might be your person. That might be your person. In some Black families, there are none. But there's someone outside. There's a John. There's a me. There's a Marcus that's willing to talk to you about what to do to get beyond it. Listen, I have been there. I've been there where I was running a business. The business started struggling. I was going through so many different things. And I was like, okay, what part of this is me? I often have to do the very same thing in my personal relationships. What part of this is me that I'm not experiencing what I want to experience? What am I not doing? What boundaries am I not setting? That I'm surviving through these experiences, but I'm not thriving within them. So the question I posit to you fellas, and John, I'm sure you'll have an answer based on the things that you saw. What area within our communities have you seen us commit to survival mode rather than thriving? And you'd like to see something different or can make a recommendation to the people?
Well, it's a big topic. I'll try to tackle it. Survival mode is every area that we teach our children. We teach them survival mode by telling them you got to get an education. You got to be the smartest one in the class. You got to be the
2
best.
times better.
Got to be 2 times better than white people. Like this is what we teach them. That's about a survival mode as it gets, and we teach our children this. And it's a new kind of thought process where we shouldn't burden our children with that, but we can only teach them what we know. And it's funny because I think about Pops J here because he would always say to me and to my older brother and to my younger sister that he wants more for us than what he had. It's a natural, normal thing. I find myself saying that to my daughter. I have been fortunate because I have been able to live the kind of life that America says you're supposed to live. You're supposed to go to a 4-year college, and while you're there, you're supposed to meet your spouse. And you meet your spouse, then you get married to him, and then you do the house, and then you get married, and you do the kid. And I did all that shit in the order that they say you're supposed to do it. I did, right? And I'm still married to her. 25 years next year, right? But
Thank you for saying that.
yeah,
A lot of people know that. I like that.
I don't always tell my business, man. They can mind their business. I tell them when I want to tell them. I'll be 52, right? And my daughters be 21. It's a big year for me and our family. But that's the way that we were taught. My wife had a very similar upbringing to me. And so that's how we're raising mama. Is that the right way? Perhaps. But just perhaps. Because there's a certain level of fear that she's going to grow up with because it's a certain level of fear that we instill in her inadvertently because we came up with it, right? So that's something that we should be mindful when we're in this conversation. Now, if we're talking about breaking cycles and changing shit and all that kind of stuff and trying to be focused on, persevering and how we're going to move to our next stage, because maybe this isn't how we want to be. Maybe you don't want to live fearful. One of the things that I'm learning through my yoga journey, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, on Sunday, usually on Sunday mornings, I'm at the Well Collective, 13 South 13th Street here in Richmond. And Kayla leads a class at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings. It's what's called restorative. Restorative is a yoga practice that is built around rest. It's built around chill out. Anytime you're in a yoga class, you can follow the instructor or you can choose to follow yourself. Following yourself is always recommended because the instructor may not know how you're feeling in your body that day. Maybe you don't feel like doing a downward facing dog. You'd much prefer to be in child's pose. So go to child's pose. Don't do what I'm saying. Do what your body is telling you. How does that have anything to do with what we're talking about, Marcus J? How this relates is one of the lessons that I'm learning that is an unlearning to how we are is we could put value on rest. We don't put value on rest. We put value on being an alpha, being 100 miles and running, finding a task, running towards it, and tackling it. But you can't do that if you're tired. You can't do that if you worn out. So there's something to be said. Can you be 2 times better when you
ain't rest because you're surviving?
You're surviving.
Mm-hmm.
So we place value on the rest. You come in, you just chill out for an hour. And it's symbolic because maybe you don't rock with yoga, John. Steph, maybe you ain't trying to be up in a room full of other people working your shit out. But the concept is sound. You need to lay some time aside to rest. So I think it's important to self-preservation. It's absolutely important It's absolutely important towards surviving and thriving. Because you can't thrive if you're tired.
Right.
You can't survive if you're worn out.
But we beat the rest out of one another and then expect that you're going to thrive.
Because we're hard on each other.
Hard on
We're
each
we're
other.
hard on each other. And I am no longer interested in being the person who is perpetuating any of that. If my kindness messes with your soul, remember, I'm a Gemini and I flip tables. Fuck your soul. Like, fuck your soul. Your soul. Because the person next to you understands
It needs it.
and needs it. So I think it's important that we take a moment and we think about what's important. Is it important to always strive 100 miles and running? Perhaps for some,
On some days, but you can't do it every day.
because you will crash.
You will crash.
And when you crash, you're going to not inadvertently, what's the word I want? Inevitably, that's the word. My brain be doing shit, y'all. Don't blame me. Or don't judge me. You might eventually disappoint folks because you couldn't do what you wanted to do anyway. So don't worry about that. Just do what you can do and take your time.
I like when you reference the fact that we don't slow down,
We don't.
but then we have this other thing where we're so hard on one another, right? And that harshness that we perceive, like often when we talk about how we treat each other, and we'll say, oh, we're harder on each other than we are anybody else. It's because we have never been in a position of where thriving is the focus. It's always been about surviving. And surviving puts you in a quote unquote crabs in a barrel mindset. You have to remember that when you go into survival mode, it impacts the people that you are primarily around. And communities tend to look very homogenous. So you are living in survival mode. All of the hardness and all the harsh things that are necessary to put you in a position of getting through a hardship, you levy that at your people. You levy that at one another. When people say, "Oh, we're so hard on one another," I'm like, of course. We don't believe that more than one of us can be successful. We don't believe that more than one of us can be in this room and be successful. And if the other one gets it, they're taking something from me, because survival mode trains you that way. So even one of us in survival mode consistently, I even say it in relationships. If you're living in survival mode, you probably that's the time when you need to be focusing on self, not a relationship. It's difficult to make a relationship work when you're still trying to get past hardship.
Yeah.
You can't offer anybody anything else. It becomes difficult.
Shout out to my cousin Tony, who's always been a big brother and a mentor to me and others in the family. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for being supportive. He's saying peace, cuz. Hey, Steph. What's good, John? Yeah. Cousin Tony.
I love that.
John, jump in here, man. What you got, bro?
So, I listen to you guys. A lot of the meat of this is a lot of stuff that I always seem to mention, not in the same context, but same topic. It's very complex as well as complicated, because we have to always consider individuals. We're all individuals. Like when you were saying we're so hard on each other, like I have no point of reference to that, because I've never been a person who gave a damn about anything anybody had to say about me. So I just don't. I so don't care, and that has acted to my detriment a lot of times, because being in various types of relationships with people, there's an expectation that I'm always supposed to be on point or on this thing, like dressed a certain way, this a certain way, that this kind of car. And my car is very old and banged up, and I usually wear what I got on right now every day. I got some nice stuff in the closet, but you know why? Because I really don't care. I don't, because it's about me, right? And what I got to do and how I got to get it done. Then when you talk about survival versus surviving ain't living, let's get that straight. It's surviving. right? And the animals survive. We're humans. We're meant to live. But we have to understand what you said is so important. Where are you surviving at? We in prison. We are prisoners of war, whether or not we want to accept it. And we constantly talk about things that we're supposed to get, or we're supposed to this, supposed to that. No, we're not. We never was supposed to, and ain't nothing changed. If you can get it, you got lucky, or you was extra good. People in this room, the three of us, we was extra good, and we was hella lucky, right? Because most of us who look like us ain't in the kind of positions that we're in this country. Because it's not meant to be that way. It's meant to be the way it is. The system is working just fine. What we want to talk about when we're talking about those issues that you said, we want to talk about self-actualization.
Mhm.
You cannot be your best you.
Maslow's theory.
Right. You exactly. You cannot be your best you if your concern are the life things.
Yep.
If you're worried about food, clothing, and shelter, there's no way to find out what it. Everybody is.
100%.
Everyone is blessed with a genius level ability in something, and we never get to discover it. Most of the time, we don't get to discover it because we're too busy worried about keeping the lights on, making sure there's food on the table, making sure the heat is on because it's gonna get cold, right? And finding a way not to go crazy. You see, that's another part people don't talk about. We're hearing that we're prisoners of war while we're being told that we're, fair and equal citizens. But that's not playing out in our lives on a day to day. So we got to deal with that mentally. We hear the words, but it ain't what we live in. And then we got social media with all these people, with filters and pumping up fake money and all kind of shit, right? And fake jewelry from the fake jewelry shop. And they pressing this stuff and talk about AI, right? How they can get these pictures on private jets and they on the bus, right? And people feel like, oh, I should be living like that. Says who? Says who? You're a prisoner of war. This is a jail. Like, look at neighborhoods, the way they design the housing projects, even the pipeline from school to prison. Public schools are set up like jail. I remember being in public school, they would tell us to line up in size order outside the classroom against the wall and wait to walk in order. That's what they do in jail. That's what they do in jail. Like, we see shit on TV, talk about, oh, the bell ring, people get up, walk out the door, go to the next. Hell no. Teachers say, get up, line up in size order. We lined up in size order, 2 by 2. And then we walked quietly through the hall till we get to the next place.
I was always in the front.
My point being, though, my point being, there's a psychological and emotional toll.
John was always in the back.
He was the last one.
Forever.
I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
By the time I hit third grade, I was taller than most of the teachers.
But you know what's crazy about that? I was never, not once,
tallest,
ever the shortest person in class. What? Ever. Thank you, Omigo Stucky.
So look.
Thank you, Robert Howard. Both taller than me now.
Let's get back to this.
I'm sorry, John. I had a little
We-
fun with you. I'm sorry.
We're not. We got to deal with the emotional and psychological cost of being in prison, because that's where we are, right? We are in prison, and we try to act like we're not, and we are. We have to be, and then we got to be careful with our kids, with our children, because if we don't teach them how to survive, they will be destroyed. Slave catchers are busy, right? All of the pitfalls are still there, right? You can't go around talking about what you're doing when you're getting it done. You got to do it, and education is important, but understanding the different levels and different types of education and having having the will to, you say we're always going, we never slowing down. Come on, listen, y'all from the tri-state, slow down, you get ran over. You know that. Ain't no second place. You the first loser.
Let me get a couple of comments in. Shout out to our sister Nicole. Nicole is checking us out, and she says, speaking the truth. She's loving what you're saying, John. So peace to you. And Uncle H says, prisoners of war. John is so right.
Right. So now what do we do about it? What we talk about. At some point, it's, I think, in every show, we mention about creating a life that you want to live. We talk about being responsible. We talk about, hell yeah, racism is a big deal. We live in a racist, white supremacist society. And when you were talking about how the white people was getting riled up by Trump, that's what I mean when I say white people suffer from racism as well. But they suffer it differently because they believe the lie like you believe the lie, and they're affected the way you're affected. The only thing is you are the poster child for poverty. So you're not supposed to look good. You're not supposed to do well. Because when you do that, you go against what the narrative is, right? This is why you could take a white person with a third grade education, give him a haircut and a suit, and put him in a bank, right? And you could take a black person with a Wharton business degree, put him in a suit with a haircut, and when the people go in the bank, white and black, they're going to the white man. Right? That's just how it is.
Just like the kids going to mama and leaving daddy on the side.
Listen, it's pre-programmed. They got this thing online, right? They got this thing online where these blind people are walking.
You know it's true.
Yeah.
Right? And
then the black blind person can't get
come on,
any
man.
assistance.
Come on.
They're like, yo, get off me.
And this is real.
Eddie Murphy showed us this on Saturday Night Live 40 years ago.
Yeah, we spoke about that too.
Yeah.
So we get into all that. But this isn't an answer. This is a possible solution. A possible solution is, again, one, give me a call, right? Because I could help you to understand finance, right? We live in a capitalist society, so you should be able to capitalize. Your complexion isn't a bigger factor as it was a few years ago. That's the only thing I'll say that has changed in our country. And the reason it's changed is because of technology, what we were talking about. Because I know quite a few people who got a job and never sat down for an interview.
Nah.
They did it over the phone. They did it over Zoom. They got mailed a laptop and went to work and do 6 figures and better without having to go nowhere and Mr. Charlie, how you doing, sir? Nobody. Just on the strength of you know how to work them ones and zeros, you good, right? And then understanding what money is and what it isn't, and stop I heard somebody say something about, oh, yo, your car got to be right because that's your first impression. When people see you, they see your car before they see your clothes. Man, the hell with that. Don't give a damn about what nobody see. You ain't trying to impress nobody. What you trying to do, right, is have more than next month's rent in the bank. That's what you trying to do, right? You ain't trying to and get nobody to look at you and say you get. Listen, money love money. I said it last week. The two most contagious things: have money and being broke, no doubt. But just because you look like you got it, don't mean you got it. So stop fronting.
Yeah, well, we're gonna front. Ain't no have Steppin Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. Kind of. Well, before I shift, Steph, give us a final word on the topic before I shift.
I think ultimately, what I'm watching people do is prepare their children. And if you feel you're too far gone, get a mentor for your child. But ultimately, you want to make sure that you're not passing survival mode on as a means of as a part of your generational inheritance. Because everyone sits around and talks about generational wealth and generational curses. Survival mode is a curse for us. And so if you're still there, you're in that thing of where every day you're like, I'm surviving. Just remember, you don't want that feeling for your children.
No, you don't. Ain't no have Steppin Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. Shifting out of Stephisodes, but similar topic, John, Steph. I want to talk a little bit about, and Steph, I want you to lead us off here about changing the language when the race is involved. when we use phrases like drug dealer versus meth entrepreneur. We say drug addicts versus substance abuse. We know what it is when it comes to that. Give us a little bit here. John and I will follow you with regards to how we feel about this piece.
Yeah.
It's similar but different.
So the entire war on drugs was built, as we all know, the entire war on drugs was built around um, urban environments, inner cities, um, the places that the government was intentionally infiltrating with drugs, with drug access, and everything else. And then the language was built on demonizing the people that were being impacted by that. So for several reasons. One, Black folk during that time and now, easy scapegoat, right? Easy to say because you've been indoctrinated for so long to believe that the Black community is the worst of the worst and is going to always go to the most to the lowest bottom, so to speak. So it was easy for Reagan and people in that environment going forward to use terms like crack babies, to talk about crackheads, to negatively stigmatize and label people who were impacted by that environment. I happen to be watching something on MSNBC, and the man who was explaining what his alternatives in life outside of the military was, he said, well, I would have been a meth entrepreneur or I would have had substance abuse disorder. Because now that meth is more impactful and opioids are more impactful to the drug epidemic in our country, and it is predominantly and overwhelmingly impacting suburban, non-urban environments and communities, predominantly white folk. Now we've relabeled it because the label determines how much help we're willing to offer, is my belief. Call somebody, a drug dealer. You don't want to rehabilitate him. This guy, the only way he could survive, he grew up in West Virginia. His life was hard. He became a meth entrepreneur, is what the label was. And therefore, you're more triggered to want to assist that individual. So it's interesting to watch not just how the organizations that are treating those treating people who are drug addicted and things like that, but how the media is now referring to drug addiction and to drug addicts as substance abuse victims, or saying it's substance abuse disorder because it reflects people that we want to help. And it's just an interesting conversation, and one that should draw our attention to the fact that you now know where the money and resources are going to go for things that are still impacting the Black community.
So it's the narrative, right? So here's the thing. I could go back real far, but I'll take it back to the 60s, right? Desegregation was a white supremacist racist tactic. It was not meant to benefit Black people in any kind of way. It was not set forth that it was meant to do what it did, which was destroy the Black community, because they noticed through the early 1900s, World War II, Korea, and going into Nam, that we had survived all of the pitfalls and been able to thrive. And we had set forth the civil rights movement based on the backs of the Black family, right? The Black family, the father, the mother, the children, some kind of community, be it the church, Black Panther Party, other kind of movements, whatever, some kind of organization that Black people belong to. They had the American dream in their own space. So how do we do that? Well, we destroy that because we take the best that they have, move them out of there, and then we make their life hell. But then now there's nothing for anybody left in the urban areas to inspire to. So this is what they got. So now on top of that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring in this drugs. We're gonna bring in this heroin, right? We're gonna get them hooked. We're gonna send them to Nam, get them hooked, bring them back, keep them hooked, right? And we're gonna get the 70s. But what happened in the 70s? People grew afros, threw out dashikis, and learned to speak Swahili. While the dudes were doing the dope fiend lean in the street, right? He was leaning, and when he raised up from the lean, he gave you the power fist. Ubarigani. Hajima Asante Ubarigani. With the dope fiend lean, with the afro and dashiki. So they couldn't have that either, right? So what did they do? They realized something was going on in the community where the Hispanic community and the black community was working together. They said, no, we're gonna change this, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take most of the jobs that black people had in the service industry, and we're gonna focus that on the Hispanic community for the most part. We're gonna push that on them. We're gonna push black people away from it, and we're gonna create laws that impact them differently. So if you're using drugs, not selling drugs, you're going to jail. If you're selling drugs, you're going to jail forever, right? So then what happens? Black people find a way around that. We flip the drugs. We go into the white community. The white community started the crack. They called it freebasing. They the ones did it because they could afford cocaine. We just had weed. We had weed and alcohol and sometimes heroin, but heroin died out in the 80s, right? Crack cocaine came about because of white people doing cocaine in the clubs and hitting the freebase, right? Then the freebase got elevated to crack. Crack came in and black people were selling it for the most part, making money off of white people, but then they started getting high on their own supply, and we have the crack epidemic.
Look at you. Hold on, before let me stop you. Look at you giving a whole history lesson. Yeah, because people don't know. Like
Right,
I'm clowning, but real shit. Like people don't. What he just said. That's true.
So now here's what happens. 80, we get the crack wars. We get crackhead, and here's what they found out: crackheads don't die, right? Crackheads find a way, and guess what happened? People who wasn't crackheads in the community was getting stuff from crackheads. You wanted something fixed?
Look how you're using the terminology that I'm specific.
Right. But I'm saying, but that's what it was, right? So again, the narrative. We're gonna go back to the narrative, the language. All of these things are deliberate things. Like you said, the comfortability of how I use the thing. What is a crackhead versus a drug addicted person with substance abuse issues, right? Person with there's a lot more people dealing with alcoholism than other things, right? Most police are alcoholics and addicted to smoking. A lot of them cocaine and sugar. Nothing more addicted than sugar and caffeine and nicotine. Nothing more addicted than that, right? So people get into these things and get all into these narratives and understand how we need to deal with this, how we need to somehow address this is, again, you cannot win the game where the rules are set by your opponent. Stop trying to play it. It ain't your game. This ain't your system. This ain't your thing. Find another way. It's a way. It's a way because people do it every day. So why I play the lotto? Because somebody gonna hit. Might be me, might not. Probably won't be. But guess what? I'm gonna play.
Every time.
I'm gonna play because somebody hit every now and then.
I don't.
You don't play?
No.
I went through a period in my life.
I'm terrible about
where
losing,
I would play every
so
time.
I don't play.
I went through this phase in my life where I was the dude at 11:20 when they was giving the numbers PM.
You were waiting.
I was that guy for years.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you why, because probably I know we ain't talking about this. I'll go down this path and then I'm gonna put us back on the right track. But like Pops always played. Let me tell you about Pops. I hope you listening, man.
I got something.
I'm about to talk about you. So Pops would come down here to Virginia. It's one time in particular, come down here, and he was feeling it. He was feeling it. This was the day. John, this was the day. He about to hit the number, and all our lives about to change. Okay, Steph? This was the day when all of the debts is paid, grandkids going to college, not just the kids. This was the day, right? And Pops, love him. One of the greatest, not one of them, greatest man I ever known. Come to Virginia, visit me, right? Comes to Virginia, visits me, hangs out with me and my wife, buys a lotto ticket, and signs it. You know what it means when you sign it. John,
Yeah.
you shaking your head real quick. Tell us, what does it mean when you sign your lottery ticket?
That's yours. You won.
Come on, bruh. You gonna come to Virginia and sign a lotto ticket? I'm talking about you. I love him. I love him. I love him. Don't be mad at me. You sign a lotto ticket. That means if it's the number, I can't do nothing with it here in Virginia, man. He got to come back. He was dead serious. And I loved it. Hey, look, me and my wife laugh about it to this day. This was like a long time ago. But it's real. The point I'm making is lottery players, they don't play about them lottos, man.
Let me tell you something.
Scratching.
I will go out the house
Scratch.
and people who know me be like, "You gonna play your lotto?" Yep.
Hey, man.
Let me tell you what it is for me.
You gotta play
It's
your lotto tickets, man.
it's my sleeping pill,
You gotta pay your
right?
lotto
Because when I
tickets,
lay
man.
down to go to sleep, I said, "Oh, when I hit that, how much is it? 200 million? Oh, that means I'm gonna get about 50 million. Okay, I can do it 50 million. Well, I'm gonna do it 50 million." And as I think about it, I go to sleep real nice and easy.
Uncle
right?
H said,
So it's
Double
worth that little 20. I think I spend 20 hours a week. It's worth the 20 hours a week I spend just so I can get a good night's sleep because
Uncle-
it puts me right to sleep.
Uncle H said history lesson essential, important. He's talking about what we talked about before. But
I
it's
wanted
important.
I wanted to just keep going with that just a little bit because we came out of the crack, right? We came out of the crack. We came and the gang lifestyle came into the thing, and then they started doing this, and then people was going into jail. Then we started scamming. Then they found out a way to get past the scammers. Now they want to shut you down. Then people was getting rich on OnlyFans. They shut that down. Now people was getting rich on TikTok, and then they changed the narrative on that. Used to need 1,000 followers to get money. Now you need 100,000 followers to get money. Listen, they gonna keep adjusting, and we gonna keep adjusting. But the narrative with regard to the racism and how it applies to us, it is your individual life. It's you. How are you dealing with it? Marcus don't mess with the N-word at all. I will shout it from the rooftop when I get ready, but not around Marcus. But guess what? He respects himself enough, right? That it don't matter what I do. That's why we can sit in the room together. It don't matter that I say it. He respects himself, right? I don't eat pork. I don't drink. But I prepare drinks for both my guests all the time, right? And I don't drink. Because I respect me, and because I respect me, I'm able to respect them. And that's how we got to deal with the narrative of racism. You got to have some self-respect, understand where you are, understand what it is, and deal with it accordingly.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. This is where I take the final word and I shift us to our final vestiges of tonight's show. So language is important. It's important to me. It's important to many of us. It's the reason why I don't use the N word. You know, I'll sit here and I'll drop other words back to back to back to back to back to back to back. But one thing that I don't like personally is slurs. And the N word is a slur to me. You know, I don't want to call somebody who is a part of a community the word that community has deemed to be offensive, regardless of what it is. You know, we've got all kinds of communities. We got Jewish people, we got gay people, we got black people, we got women, we got all kinds of we got white people. You know, George Jefferson would tell you what we would call them. You know what I'm saying? So I just personally choose not to use those words. Like when we were sitting here earlier, John and I won't tell you who was listening to, but it's a 90s era hip hop artist who's a freaking legend, who loves to smoke weed and makes your grandma feel comfortable, Snoop Dogg. And every other word out of his mouth in this particular song was the N word. And John will tell you, and the B word. But John will tell you, every time the N word came up, right in stride, I slipped brother in there. I'm just not gonna do it because it's important. Language is important. It's important when we are looking at the news and we're talking about a drug dealer versus a meth entrepreneur. It's important because we know what's happening here. It's important when we talk about drug addicts versus people who have substance abuse problems. We know what it is when we're doing that, right? So I'm not playing into that. I'm not going to be a person that is going to perpetuate that kind of nonsense. We know what it is, and I'm not going to play in it. I'm not going to say the N word. I'm not going to say drug addict when substance abuse disorder is available to me. You know what you know what I'm saying? Like, we see what's happening, and I'm gonna stick my tongue firmly in my cheek when it comes to that. But I think you understand what my final point
Yeah,
is.
you pill poppers and crackheads get it.
Yeah, you understand what we
The
say.
worst.
we
Y'all are the worst.
we are. I'm a terrible person. I'm a bad person.
As Marcus says, tongue placed firmly, in
Firmly.
cheek.
Ain't no ass Steph Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy. All right. So final vestiges of the show. This is where we rant and we close. This is where we give a moment in Black history. This is where we look for our missing Black children. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about this particular sister who you see in the card. She's a pianist, a composer, an arranger. She's an educator. She grew up in a home where her prodigious natural gifts were recognized and nurtured, and the rich musical landscape beyond, dotted with figures like Ma Rainey and James P. Johnson, provided constant inspiration. Seeing pianist and arranger Lovey Austin perform had a particular impact. This person later recalled Austin playing with her left hand, writing music for the next act with the other, end quote, and conducting the band with her head. Although I was just a little baby, I said to myself, quote, I'm going to do that one day. This person did that and much more. From their earliest professional performances at age 12 through their seminal contributions to the bluesy, driving Kansas City swing. That style of big band jazz as a champion of bebop and its earliest innovators, and a composer whose works encompassed almost every style of 20th century popular jazz and serious music, long known as the First Lady of Jazz, and described by Duke Ellington as, quote, perpetually contemporary. Perpetually contemporary? Perpetually contemporary. You're going to be a boss forever. Let's see. This person in later years taught on the faculties of Duke University and the University of Massachusetts. Today, John and Steph and yours truly, we celebrate born in 1910, transition 1981, Mary Lou Williams. First Lady of Jazz, Steph. I like that. That was dope. I like that. Ain't no how Steph Marcus J. Live from NewDen.
Ahead of her time.
Legacy Internet Radio. Uncle H is always on some boss level elder type stuff, because before I even typed the name in, Uncle H had already typed Mary Lou Williams.
You know what?
I love you, man.
We need them every week.
Uncle H,
If you Google, you'll see her playing two pianos at the same time.
at the same time. My man. Ain't no how Steph Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. All right, let's look for these kids, man. Hate this part. I gotta make a joke. I don't like this part. All right, so we're looking for two. We're looking in Chesterfield and in Richmond City. All right, so in Chesterfield, we're looking for Dakaya Unique Taylor. October 23rd was the last time Dakaya Unique Taylor was seen out of Chesterfield. She's 14. Last seen wearing a white tee, blue shorts, brown and gold wig. She has scars on her left arm and piercing in her nose. She requires medication and may be in the need of medical attention. If you have seen Dakaya Unique Taylor, contact the Chesterfield County Police Department at 804-748-1251. Also looking for Lamaria Marie Threat. October 23rd, Richmond City, 13-year-old black female. Lamaria's hair is styled in short dreads. If you've seen Lamaria Marie Threat, please contact the Richmond City Police Department at 804-646-5100. So let us recap. We're looking for Dakaya Unique Taylor. and we're looking for Lamaria Marie Threat. If you've seen either of them, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or please contact them at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy in their radio. One more comment before we shift to our final vestiges with our rants and our closing, since we've done our moment in Black history. Here are our missing children. Uncle Late says, I heard Mary Lou Williams play at Norfolk State 45 years ago, and I got her autograph. Uncle H, you are an
I
important
just love Uncle.
you are an important person to the world and a very important person to us, and we appreciate
Yes.
whenever you add your anecdotes. It is an honor to being your honorary nephews and niece. So thank you for being a part of what we do here on our show. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Net Radio. All right, John, you ready to go through and get our affirmations?
That's a Smurfly.
What you got, bro?
So-
What you got, bro? Yeah, he is. What you got, bro? What you got?
Today I am persistent. Today nothing will stop me from accomplishing my goals. Nothing will stand in the way of my happiness.
My brother. It's good to see you, and it's good to see that being your affirmation. Steph, affirm yourself as we affirm each other.
Yes. Today I am learning. Today I will focus on learning to grow into a better person. I like that.
I like that as
Every
well.
day.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. It's a challenge, and we will affirm because it's important to feel seen and to give that type of comfort to others. The reciprocity of this is what drives me with it. So today I am mindful. Today I know deep in my heart and soul that happiness and self-worth are within me. I love this because these affirmations, John, have a way of finding us. They find us, it's a deck of cards, man. It's 54 of them, inevitably. Perhaps we might run into the same ones a couple times, but the key for me is they typically come at the right time. They come when you're at the right time. Like, I am mindful. I know deep in my heart and soul that happiness and self-worth are within me. Like, I know that shit every day. So if I pull this card every day, it's a good day for me to pull
Affirmation.
this card. So I appreciate the universe, and I appreciate my brother Andrew Bloomquist of Align Rocks and Reiki, a yoga studio that I go to regularly. I'm usually there every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. But for a long time, I was there every single Sunday. I was looking for a space to be on Sundays, and I found myself at Align Rocks and Reiki. Let me just say this real quick, and then I'll shift us out of here, because I don't think I've ever said Andrew's name on the show, and Andrew is a big part of my yoga journey. I don't know if you listen, and if you do, great. If you don't, that's fine. I said your name, and that's good enough for me. But he is the reason why I walk around with affirmation cards in my pocket, and he's the reason why I share them with Steph and John, and why I share them with other folks that I do yoga with. So shout out to the folks at Align Rocks and Reiki. Shout out to the folks at the Well Collective, and shout out to the folks that Art of You and the art. What is it? Tao. The Art of You. The Art of You. TAUOU. Tao. Shout out to y'all, because those are the spaces I spend most of my time in, and I pull these cards out of inspiration for Andrew, being in there on a Sunday, every single Sunday for like a year. Every single Sunday for like a year, I'm in there, and I'm doing yoga with him and the people that show up. And he had his own version of cards like this, and he would go around the room and he would give us each a card before class, and we would practice with the card and whatever it said. It was a different deck, but it's the same concept. So I got that from you. I've told you that to your face. Now I've said that to everybody. Thank you, Andrew. I love you, brother. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. All right, so John, this is where you close us out. You say the last thing you want to say before the end of the night. And it's great. It's wonderful because you always leave us with the jewel. And I appreciate you. I appreciate how you lead. I appreciate your patience for Steph and me. You're a rock. You're a hard dude in the soul and the spirit, hard in the way that as brothers we say it. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you, John. Thank you for being my brother.
Thank you again, Marcus, for the platform. I'm glad to be here. I feel privileged to be in this company. My closing is going to be sensitive for some. It's going to be impactful for some. Some people ain't going to like it, and that's going to be rough. And Marcus is going to hit home for you a little different too. I'm a little bit tired of people trying to come from my frat. All right. I spend time online on social media, and y'all need to fall all the way back. Y'all need to fall all the way back because I'm telling you, y'all don't want to smoke. Right? And I see you all online talk about Freemasonry this and Freemasonry that and all this other. Y'all don't know nothing about what you're talking about. Because if you had any idea, if you had the slightest idea what you was talking about, you shut the fuck up. Right? So let me give you a little help. You live in America? You live here somewhere in the 48 states? You live under Freemasonry if you do. The entire country is a Masonic lodge. You didn't know that, did you? I'm telling you that. I'm telling you that. You don't believe me? So what? I could prove it. You got my number. Call me. The entire country is a giant Masonic lodge. You don't know that. You belong. You're a fireman. You're a nurse. You belong to any kind of union. Guess what? You practicing Freemasonry. All the same things that you try to accuse us of and say that we do, you doing it. You know why? Because you swore an oath. That's the base of it. You swore an oath. And guess what? Swearing's a sin. You didn't know that either, did you? Because when you swear, when you sit down and swear, you know what you're saying? You're saying that you're infallible. You're putting yourself on the level with God because you're swearing. You're making absolutes. You're making absolutes. And only God is absolute, right? So do you know what you're talking about? I don't think so, right? And here's what I know. I belong to a fraternity that's the world's original fraternity. If you belong to any other fraternity, you are a child of it, right? We are a charitable organization. I cannot even explain to you the amount of money that we give out in a year. And I'm just talking about my lodge, just talking about my jurisdiction. And you know something else about my fraternity? It's part of a microcosm that looks like the rest of the world. We have all kinds. We have all types. Doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, whatever you want. We got a group, we got a lodge that got a bunch of them in it. And they doing their thing. And they good with it. But you know what we got in common? All of us we got in common? We're made from the kind of material that real men are made of. Right? We're made of the kind of material that true women recognize in themselves as well as men who they find attractive. Right? So these are the things that you guys talking about, and you don't know what you're talking about, not even at all, not even a little bit. And I love when you start talking about that devil worship nonsense. That's the dumbest, that is the dumbest, the easiest shit in the world. And y'all talk about it like you're doing something. Guess what? All you're doing is keeping yourself out of the good party. You keeping yourself out of the good party. So keep up the good work, but just watch what you say online. Watch what you say online because it'll come back to haunt you, because more than likely one day you're gonna roll up on somebody that's probably a Freemason and they're gonna remember some of that silly shit you said. And you're not gonna have a problem with it. Not they're gonna do something to you, but they may not do something for you. You know why? Because you just said you don't fuck with us, so we don't fuck with you. That's how I go. But you know what we do? We fuck with each other worldwide. I can go to any country in the world and knock on the door and be welcomed, be fed, be praised, be educated. Anytime, day and night. Because I could do that. Can you do that? Can you go to any country in the world and do that? Sight unseen? I can. I've never been denied access when I went knocking on the door. What about you? So think about what you say before you say it. Words have power, like Marcus was saying earlier, right? I put it in one of my gems of the day, right? Words have power, written and spoken. So be careful what you choose to use. Because you mess around and put yourself into a situation. When you writing out words, you know what you're doing? You casting a spell. That's why they call it spelling. You want to talk about some devil worship and witchcraft? That's what you're doing. You're writing down stuff. You casting spells. Right? When you want to talk your shit and you want to talk about stuff, you don't even understand the vibration that you're causing with your words, with the tone and the sound of your voice. What are you shaking? What are you affecting? How's it vibrating through the universe? You have no idea, right? When you walk into the building that you go to work at every day, you don't understand how that building is constructed. You don't understand why is that little triangle over the doorway I never noticed? Why are there two pillars on the side of the entryway that I never saw before? What am I walking into? What am I going through? What am I exposing myself to? You have no fucking idea. So take some time, shut the fuck up, and find something else to talk about. That's my closing.
You know, I have stuff Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy of that radio. Hey, look, I love the rant. All I will say to that is I was taught to be cautious, very cautious with how I deal with these types of things, and I will continue to be. So I appreciate that because it's a conversation.
Oh, my words were chosen.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, very, very cautiously, yeah, but it's one of those things where I have found myself wanting to do what you just did, and I'm glad that you spoke your piece because it is what it is. But we're taught to be cautious because we know that they're gonna come for us. So it's just what it is. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you. And I have Steppin Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. Steph B, I love you, man, so much. You're such a wonderful person, such a wonderful sister and a spirit to us. And what you bring to us and the balance that you bring to my life and to John's life and to our triumvirate, it couldn't be done with anybody other than you. It has to be you. And so I appreciate you so much. I appreciate how you love us, like how you love John and how you love me, but how you love us, like our people. It's palpable, it's noticeable, it's not fake. It's something that you cannot use the words that you use with the energy that you use and not love us for real. And so your wisdom and leadership in the way that you disseminate your information is so necessary, not just on this show, but in every way that you choose to share, particularly on the mic, because that's what we're talking about. And this isn't the only mic that you got. And so I appreciate you. I want you to share your last word with the backdrop of the love of your brothers behind it. So what you got?
That was very sweet, Marcus. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It made me feel very,
You're
very special.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank both of you.
You're absolutely very special.
Aw, thanks. It's you guys know how I feel.
You ain't getting no love
about
nowhere. You gonna
Monday.
come here, you
I'm
gonna
gonna
get
get it every time,
and we're gonna
I
be mushy with
appreciate
it. Mushy.
Yes, and which is
And a drink to
funny
boot.
That this was a good drink tonight.
My brother, yeah.
This was a crazy good drink tonight. Anybody who hangs out with me knows I like sweet drinks. So this was like bubblegum, candy. It was everything with double shots. So just showing y'all how I could still function.
It was closer to 3 shots.
Okay, can we give me credit for still making it happen? Because this drink was serious. I have been thinking about this quite a bit, and I want to challenge us to, one, ask for what we want in a clear manner, and two, recognize what we contribute to situations in as clear a mindset as possible. So there's always people who will say closed mouth doesn't get fed. We get it. Closed mouth don't get fed. People don't know what you need. They won't contribute. They can't. They can't read your mind. And I often find, I was listening to my uncles talk about pride and ego, and these are mature men and happy marriages. And I'm listening to one of my uncles talk specifically about ego and how it got in the way, or the potential of what it could do to him. And when he realized he needed to shut it down, and an area in which he got the very best of what he needed for himself simply by sitting his pride aside. We often don't ask for what we need because we either are too proud, or we ask for things but we're not clear on what it is that we need because we are uncomfortable being direct. And I've been watching this for years. I work in the sales space, in a commercial and corporate sales world. I always have. And then helping people as an entrepreneur coach, specifically focused on sales. And the sales world is very much about what you say, what you ask, and who you say it to. So, just three very small tips. One, if there is something you need, you're responsible for what you ask for. You're responsible. And when you ask for that thing you need, it's likely that other people are the people you're asking are going to ask for accountability in return. Tell me why you're in the position that you're in, and why you need what you need. They're going to want to understand the story. Where are you coming from? Why are you coming to me? What's going on? Don't let your pride get in the way. Ask for what you need and be willing to explain the why. Two, ask the right people. If I haven't learned anything in my life, it is to spare my words when the wrong people are in front of me. Using words that are necessary on people that are irrelevant is a killer. It's a killer of time, it's a killer of opportunity, and it kills your results. So when you have a need, take that need clearly and emphatically to the people or person that you know you can trust to, one, hear you, and two, actually be able to contribute to that need. Sitting around gossiping about what it is that you need with your friends and not going to the right people, that's not helping you. It's not helping you. And it's okay, because at the end of the day, we all have been in a position of where we have need. We're not all positioned to put aside our pride and make those needs known. And then we go into survival mode. Just trying to make it. Just trying to make it. So, one, be clear on what you're asking for. Two, ask the right people. Ask the right people. And three, this is important because when pride is involved, we often forget something very important. And it's, once you set aside your pride, you also need to set aside your pride. And ego are connected. Set aside your ego. When you're in need of something, you don't want to lead with your ego. And again, I'm saying this because I listen to conversations every day where people ask for what would seem like the most outlandish things. Some of them ask out of a sense of entitlement, but they ask. Others ask out of a sense of need because they are not willing to hit bottom, and they ask the right people. Some people will ask out of a sense of fear, but every single day I hear conversations where people ask. They ask for what they want. And somehow within the breadth of our community building, we have allowed a false sense of self-sufficient to get in the way. When you don't have resources, you need to ask the right people at the right time for what you need. I used to always say, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. Even if I wasn't, that was the answer. I'm okay. And I realized I felt that way because I typically wasn't in front of people that I trusted to ask for what I needed. So I had to play the I'm okay game. The wrong people were present. So I'm okay because I'd rather not ask them. And then the need dies. It remains, but the need, meaning my need to ask for assistance, dies. And I had a really good friend say, you really need to get better at asking for help. And I remember thinking, I don't, and being honest enough with this person to say that, one, I don't like to hear no, because I ask so infrequently that if I ask, I must need it. Whatever it is, comfort, help, whatever it is, right? And I said, I don't like the word no. You're asking the wrong people. You're asking the wrong people, because you clearly are asking with a belief that what you need is truly necessary. You're not, if you're asking the right people, they know that you're not frivolous. They know that you're not someone that comes to anyone willy-nilly, that it must be significant. They know that you're not a small person in how you behave. They know you're not irresponsible. So you're asking the wrong person if your fear is no. You're also moving off of fear because you're afraid to ask, because you don't want to hear no. And so you're allowing that fear to put you in a position of lack, of not having. And so I just really encourage our people. I'm encouraging our people specifically, because when we do ask for things, it's often the wrong thing to the wrong person. You ask for the frivolous things, but when there is a significant need, you assume you cannot get. Y'all will ask God, can't see him, swear you can feel him. You'll ask him, but you won't ask the resources that he put in front of you. The people you believe he created, you won't ask them. And I'm going to tell you, we live in a world where people are not going to assume your needs. Most of us don't have someone that's going to assume our needs, that's going to assume that we need comfort or guidance or information or money, whatever it is that you need. Most people are not going to assume it for you. So you have got to get good at asking and know what to ask for. Don't ask for the money for Jordans. That's not a need. It's not a need. It's a want. But don't let your lights get turned off. You have a friend. If you've been a friend, you have a friend in your circle that won't let that happen. And that's my rant.
Ain't no half step. Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. All right, I'm gonna take us home. This weekend, last couple of days, we have celebrated Veterans Day here in the United States of America, and like many folks, we view this day as often as a day to get off of work. You ain't got to go to school, that sort of thing. It was a Saturday this year, but you know what it is. Folks. Yeah, some folks had the Friday off, and that sort of thing. And let me just say this: this is not just any other holiday. Everybody knows somebody that served in the military, or perhaps is currently serving. When I consider the history of our country, I cannot fathom not living the lives and the freedoms that we have. You know, we often get upset with our country and we say what we say, but John often will say, I'm not trying to live no place else. He says it in his own words, but that's kind of the gist of what it is. And when you consider, that during the early wars of our country, most of the men in this country, they served in the military. Just imagine a time where men were drafted into the armed services and gladly went to serve and protect. Several men in one family may have gone, and sometimes several generations of the same family went and actually served. Just think about the draft, y'all. Think about draft for a second. Think about what the draft would be like in today's mentality. Now, personally, I can't imagine what it must be like to be drafted. But my pops was drafted. Pops J was drafted. And he served his time during the Korean War and the Vietnam War. He's a veteran. I got friends of mine who are veterans. I got uncles who are veterans. A couple of my best friends are veterans. I'll share their stories very, very briefly. One served his time during the Gulf War. The other served her time in Afghanistan. She was wounded, saving the lives of Afghanistan civilians who were caught in the crossfire of war. Now, thankfully, she's at home with her husband and her children, and those civilians that she had to deal with. She had to, she had to deal with those Afghanistan civilians. But here she is, an American citizen, a veteran, fighting in another country, saving the lives of people there. That's a veteran, you know, and I pay homage to that. I would venture to say that everybody knows somebody that serves, whether they're currently serving, contemplating serving, served in the past. You ain't got to support the war to support the troops. And I feel very, very, very strongly about that. So, on behalf of the crew and the family here at Legacy and the Radio, I'd like to say Happy Veterans Day to all of the servicemen and women and their families. We like to thank you for your service and your sacrifice. We like to thank you for giving your time and energy, and unfortunately, in some cases, your lives to make us more safe and secure. As I said a minute ago, you ain't got to support the troops. Excuse me, you ain't got to support the war to support the troops. That's my Murray. Marcus's unrelated rant doesn't have anything to do with what we've been in here saying tonight. One final comment before I take us to the legitimate end of the show. And I'm so glad that this is the final comment. She may have gotten in late, as we often will say about the Lord. They may not answer when you call, but they're always on time. And tonight, that person is my cousin Terry, my sister Cuz, who says, Steph, I promise you, I swear, not only to myself, but to others and to myself, I'm okay. You spike to my soul. Thank you. You
Hey,
spoke to
cuz.
her soul.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Well,
thank
I'm
you,
glad.
thank you, thank
I'm
you,
glad
thank you.
that's
And Terry, I love you to death. And I know John and Steph do as well.
Yes.
You are my blood, but you might as well be blood to them too. So ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. I want to remind everybody that independence is the key to building your legacy. I also want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares. And the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you hear singing in the background. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. I want you to be blessed. I want you to give grace. I want you to keep it 100. Everybody you come in contact with. And I want you to remember that authenticity has no competition. We've been doing this right here for over 12 years. And that's the energy we keeping with. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We will be back in the future. We appreciate y'all. See you soon. Peace.
Mm, mm, mm. Oh yeah. I'm with this, with me. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready. Let's go. Ain't no half stepping is the name of the show. Yeah. Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah. Hunter talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about? Call and we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street was the Earl on the beat. We superb in the beat, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. My brother so smart, plus brother got style. From Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. From Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus Shea hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, Legacy online. 7 and 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus Shea, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. My brother so smart, plus brother got style. We on the mission before force. And listen up, this Marcus Shea start to talk.